Hi all of you. We are over here to discuss question number 30 on cash flow statement. So in this video, we will be discussing question number 30, which is given in your material in page number 77. Now, before we start discussing this question, we will first discuss the concept of advance tax and how the advance tax accounting is done in the books of accounts. And then we will take up this question. So you also give a heading along with me, concept of advance tax. Guys, advance tax is basically based on the theme of pay as you earn. For example, if this is the accounting year, financial year of an entity, then whatever profit an entity has earned in the first quarter, April to June, whatever earnings the company has done, the entity has done in the first quarter, on that earning, you pay tax. Again, you earned income from June to July, June to in the second quarter, July, September, October. So July to September, whatever profits we have earned, on those earnings, again pay tax. Similarly, in the third quarter, whatever earnings has been done, again pay tax. Fourth quarter, whatever earnings has been done, again pay tax. So as you earn money, keep on paying little tax to the government as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. And then at the end of the year, estimate our total tax liability on the entire earnings of the year. So estimate our total tax liability based on our earnings and create a provision. For taxation. So already some amount we have all paid, and then finally at year end we are finding out how much according to us should be the total tax liability towards government based on our 12 months earnings. After setting off what we have already paid, pay the difference. The difference will be paid. And if we have paid excess, claim the refund from the government. So we are going to discuss the accounting of this concept right now. Fine, sir. So concept of advance tax. Number one, advance tax is based on concept of pay as you earn. Pay as you earn. Journal entries will be as under. Journal entries will be as under. Number one, when advance tax is paid, that time the journal entry will be advance tax account debit. As you earn income, we keep on paying tax, and that tax we call it advance tax. So advance tax account debit to bank. Then at year end, what we'll do? We'll create provision for tax. So point number B. For creating provision for tax at the end of the year. For creating provision for tax at the end of the year. The entry will be P&L account debit to provision for tax. And then what we'll do, we will adjust the advance tax against provision for tax. This is what we have estimated to be payable to government. And this we have already paid. As we earned, we kept on paying some amount as tax to the government. We kept on depositing some amount to the government as tax. So what we'll do, we will adjust these two. Then we'll get to know how much more we have to pay or we have to claim a refund. So the entry for adjusting advance tax against provision for tax. For adjusting advance tax against provision for tax. The journal entry will be provision for tax account debit to advance tax account. So we are basically this much we are estimating that we have to pay, but already to that much we have paid in advance. As we earned, we kept on paying some portion as tax. So we will set off our liability with advance tax. And later, if we find that if advance tax is less than provision for tax, so if advance tax is less than provision for tax, then the balance provision for tax will be paid. And the balance provision for tax, we will pay it. Suppose our liability came to 100 rupees and we paid only 80. So 20 rupees, we will pay it. So that time the entry will be provision for tax account debit to bank account. Now, when we are calculating the cash flow from operating activity, one of the steps in cash flow from operating activity, both under direct method as well as under indirect method, is tax paid. So whenever advance tax is there in the question, then tax paid will be summation of advance tax paid 80 rupees plus excess provision for tax paid during the year 20 rupees. Just now we discussed it. 100 rupees. So in a question where advance tax account exists, in those questions, the total tax paid will be summation of advance tax paid and excess provision for tax paid during the year. So for cash flow from operating activity, tax paid during the year will be advance tax paid during the year plus excess provision for tax paid during the year. Excess provision for tax paid during the year. So I first want you all to copy this part, and then we will start the discussion of question number 30. Question number 30 involves the concept of advance tax. It's very simple. Advance tax means pay tax as you earn your income. So as we earn, we keep on paying tax. And then at year end, we estimate our entire year's tax liability. We put it to PFT and debit PL. Then we set off PFT and advance tax. If our advance tax is less than the PFT, then we pay the difference. In the cash flow statement, the total tax paid in step number 4 will be comprising of advance tax paid and excess of provision for tax paid. Copy all of you. Okay, assuming everybody has copied. Now let's come to question number 30. Given below is the profit and loss account of ABC Limited and relevant balance sheet information. Profit and loss account for the year ended 31st December 2006. Then sales they have given. Guys, nothing mentioned, always assume that the entire sales is credit sales. If nothing mentioned, assume the entire sales is credit sales. Interest, dividend, stock adjustment. Stock adjustment is the difference between opening stock and closing stock. In Schedule 3, statement of PL, we don't write opening stock and closing stock separately. We adjust the difference between opening and closing stock in the heading of changes in inventories, which they sometimes also refer it to as stock adjustment, which we discussed in Schedule 3 chapter some days back. Then purchase, wages, other expenses, interest, depreciation, profit before tax, tax provision, profit brought forward from previous year. It's a very nice question. Transfer to general reserve, dividend paid, dividend distribution, tax paid, and closing balance carried forward to balance sheet. Debtors, they have given opening and closing balances, but first column represents the closing balances, 2006. Second column represents the opening balances, 2005. So inventories, creditors, outstanding wages, outstanding expenses, advance tax. advance tax, and tax provision. Compute cash flow from operating activity. So they are not asking us to prepare the full-fledged cash flow statement. They are only asking us to prepare the cash flow from operating activity, both under direct method as well as under indirect method. First, we'll do it under direct method. Under direct method, cash flow from operating activity would be prepared by adding all the inflows from the transaction which falls under the heading of operating activity, and we will minus all the payments made for the transactions which falls under the heading of operating activity. Then we will minus the tax paid, and if any extraordinary items is there, we will adjust it. We'll get cash flow from operating activity under OA, under direct method. Whereas under indirect method, we start with net profit, then step 2, non-cash items, non-operating items, then step 3, working capital changes, step 4, tax paid, step 5, extraordinary items, and then we finally get the answer. So right now we are only focusing on direct method. And number 2, any item which doesn't come in operating activity, we will ignore it because they are not asking us to prepare full-fledged cash flow statement. Fine. So under direct method, first let us set up the format. Calculation of cash flow from operating activity under direct method. First point is we need collection from debtors. Now, how do we get collection from debtors? By preparing debtor account. So collection from debtors, we will do it in working note 1. So let's do it. Working note 1, debtor account. First information they have given about is sales. Nothing mentioned, assume that it is credit sales. So entry will be debtor account debit to sales. So in debtor account, we will write to sales 4150. Then they have given us the information of opening and closing balance of debtor 250 and 400. So 250 and 400, two balance brought down 250 and closing balance is 400. By balance carried down 400. Then now balancing figure of this account can give us the amount collected from debtors during the year. So by cash and bank account, collection from debtors balancing figure. So balancing figure will give us collection from debtors. It should be 4,000. And this 4,000, we will put it in operating activity. So let us put it in operating activity, 4,000 rupees. And we are doing everything in rupees and lakhs. So we should just mention it in exam that everything is rupees and lakhs. Fine. So whatever points we have done, we'll put a tick besides those points, which is just a control sheet for us, a controlling tool for us, that these are the points which we have discussed, which we have dealt with. Chartered accountants, the next point which they have given to us is interest and dividend. Interest and dividend is an item of investing activity, and they are asking us only to calculate the cash flow from operating activity. And under indirect method, it is of no use. So, sorry, I am wrong. Under direct method, it is of no use. So we will ignore it. But under indirect method, it is useful. How it is useful under indirect method? In indirect method, we start with profit before tax. And in that profit, some income related to other activities would be included, which we have to eliminate to arrive at the cash flow from operating activity. But under direct method, we only directly pick up those cash flows, those receipts and payments which are related to operating activity. This is the reason indirect method, this particular information, no use. Again, stock adjustment also of no use. Why no use? Because it will be considered in working capital changes in indirect method. Next, purchases. Nothing mentioned. Assume that entire purchases are credit purchases. We will prepare a creditor account. They have already given us the opening and closing balance of creditors. And we will find out the amount paid to creditors during the year from that account. So working note to creditors account. Opening balance of creditors as given in the question. Chartered accountants, be careful. They have given first the balance of, first they have given us the closing balances and then they have given us the opening balances. Y balance brought down. It is 230 and 250 is the closing balance. Purchases they have given, it's a credit purchase. The journal entry for credit purchases is purchase account debit to creditor account. Since the journal entry for credit purchase is purchase to creditor, so in the creditor account, we will write by purchases 2400. Our liability will increase. So when liability increases, we record on the credit side. When liability decreases, we record on the debit side. To bank account. $2730. So how much we have paid? We have paid 2480 to the creditors, and this will be put on the face of cash flow statement under operating activity. 2480. Right now, don't copy. Let me first do it. Understand. Later, you copy. Payment to creditors. Working note number 2, 2480. All right. Next information. Put a tick mark besides the point which we have dealt with. So we have dealt with creditors also. Next, wages and salaries. Guys, just because in the P&L account they have given us wages and salaries of rupees 800, it doesn't mean that we have paid also 800. No, it doesn't mean. We may or would have paid a different amount also. So check, is there any outstanding wages and salaries given in the question to us? If you observe, they have given us, if you see, they have given us outstanding wages at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. Since some outstanding wages they have given to us, so the wages and salaries appearing on the face of P&L account represents only the wages and salaries expenditure incurred during the year in these 12 months, but it does not mean that we have paid that much. But in cash flow statement, we have to record what we have paid. So we have to compute the paid figure separately. Wages and salaries paid. Now, how do we compute? What is the amount which we have debited to P&L account? The amount which we have debited to P&L account is 800. Last year, opening outstanding is 50 rupees. This means opening outstanding is 40. That 40 is the expense of previous year, but was not paid in the previous year, must have been paid in the current year. And 50 is the closing outstanding. It is the expense of current accounting period, but not paid. If not paid, minus it. To find out what you have paid, whatever we haven't paid, if we minus it, we'll get to know how much we have paid during the year. 790 we have paid. All right. Next item, after wages. After wages, the next information which we have to deal with is other expenses. When the question doesn't give you the nature of a particular expense, always assume that that expenditure is related to our routine business operations. It means it is related to operating activity and it will be taken in operating activity. The total other expenses appearing on the face of P&L account is 200. Same story. It doesn't mean that we have paid also 200. We would have assumed that we have paid 200 if there would not have been any outstanding and prepaid adjustment related to this particular expenditure. But for other expenses also, they have told that there is outstanding expenses. So 10 and 20 are the opening and closing outstanding. We have to use this information to ascertain the other expenses paid during the year, and that paid portion will appear on the face of cash flow statement. So other expenses paid. Chartered accountants, the total expenses appearing on the face is of P&L account is 200. And if you see, opening outstanding is 10. This 10 is the previous year expense paid in current year. So add 20 is current year expense, but not yet paid. So minus it. Then only we'll get to know how much we have paid during the year. What we haven't paid, if we minus that, then we get to know how much we have paid during the year. So under direct method, we directly take those receipts and payments which relates to our operating activity, and we ignore the rest of the transactions. Interest. Interest doesn't come in operating activity, so ignore it. But under indirect method, since we start with profit before tax, and profit before tax is after all the expenses other than tax, so we add back the interest to find out the cash flow from operating activity. Depreciation. Depreciation also ignore it under direct method. But under indirect method, we have to add back depreciation. But we are solving under direct method first. Tax provision, ignore it, because we we have to minus directly the tax paid. And tax paid will be determined by preparing these two accounts. So let's prepare in working notes advanced tax account and tax provision account. find out the tax paid, and then that information we are going to put it in operating activity. We have to minus tax paid, which we'll do it in working note number 3. Whenever advanced tax account exists, then to calculate the tax paid, the total tax paid, we have to prepare 2 accounts, advanced tax account and provision for tax account. First, write down the opening balances. To balance brought down. The opening balance of advanced tax given to us in the question is 180, and closing balance given to us is 195. It has a debit balance. Advanced tax has a debit balance. Chartered accountant similarly, provision for tax, opening balance, provision for tax, opening balance 180, and closing balance 200. After writing the opening and closing balances of advanced tax and provision for tax, in the P&L account, during the year, we have created provision for taxation to the extent of 200. Whenever we create provision for taxation, journal entry is P&L account debit to PFT. So during the year, we have created a liability towards the government of 200 rupees towards taxation. So when liability increases, we record it on the credit side by PL 200. So this is our last year estimated liability that we have to pay in the current year. But don't literally pay it in cash. Just set it off with advanced tax. Because we have already paid some amount towards government. We have already paid some amount towards tax to the government. So we will, when we paid that amount to the government, we put it in advanced tax account. Now we will set off that payment which we have already made with our liability. 180. So our liability will decrease. And advanced tax balance will also decrease. $180. Now look at advanced tax. Advanced tax means some balance figure is coming on the debit side. That represents the tax which we have paid during the current accounting period to the government. 195. So during current accounting period, we have paid tax of 180 plus 195 comes to 375. This 195 will be shown in operating activity. $195. Next. Then transfer to general reserve, no use in direct method. Dividend paid, no use. Distribution tax paid, dividend distribution tax paid. Everything comes in financing activity. In operating activity, no use. Then inventories under direct method, no use. Advance tax we have already considered, and tax provision we have already dealt with. So now we can do the backup. Inventories comes in working capital changes. In direct method, since purchases were directly available, so we didn't have to use the COGS equation to find out the purchases. If purchases were directly not available and the COGS would have been given, cost of goods sold, then we would have used the COGS equation. In the COGS equation, we would have used the inventories to find purchases. But since in this question purchases is directly available, so inventories under direct method becomes useless information. Fine. This is cash generated from operations. Before tax. Before tax, we have 4,000 minus 2,480 and minus 790 minus 190. It comes to 540. And from cash generated from operations, if we minus the tax paid during the year, we should get net cash flow from operating activity under direct method. So 540 minus 195 comes to 345. But I think so. I've made some mistake. Yes, the mistake is calculation mistake as usual because you all are not there. Creditors account का balancing figure, I think I have done it wrong. Yeah, this should be 2380. This is where we miss you. Immediately you would have told me, sir, some calculation mistake you have done. Never mind. So 2380 is actually the payment to creditors. So if this is 2380, then we will get 4,000 minus 2380 minus 790 minus 190, 640 minus 195, 445 will be net cash flow from operating activity under direct method. This is what they asked. And the same question they asked us to solve by indirect method also. So we'll do it by indirect method too. But first you copy the direct method, then we'll discuss indirect method. I will wait on every page for around 5 seconds, and then you can pause it, you can copy it. Then we'll start the discussion of indirect method. Next one is advance tax. Now, same question, we'll solve it under indirect method. Guys, under indirect method, we start with the net profit before tax and extraordinary items. So calculation of cash flow from operating activity. Under indirect method. First, step number 1. Net profit before tax and EOI. Everything rupees in lakhs. Guys, net profit before tax and EOI till now in all the questions, please listen to this part carefully. Till now in all the questions, they used to give us the closing balance of P&L account in the balance sheet. Carefully listen, please. So whatever questions we have done so far, they used to give us the closing balance of P&L account like this, 50,000. What we used to do, 70. So they used to give us the closing balance of P&L account, 70. This 70,000 is after transfer to reserve. So we used to add back because profit before tax is profit before reserves. This 70,000 is after dividend. So we used to add back the dividend declared out of current year profits, because profit before tax is profit before dividend also. But this 70,000 which is appearing on the face of balance sheet is the profit balance retained with the entity after all appropriations. So from here, if I need to reach profit before tax, whatever I have deducted in the process to reach this 70,000, we have to add back. So we have deducted transfer to reserve, we added back. We have to add back dividend. And this 70,000 also includes the opening balance of PL brought forward from previous year. So we used to minus that also to find out how much we have earned in the current year. And this 70,000 is after tax expense. So we used to add back tax expense too to find out the profit before tax and extraordinary item. This is how we used to determine the PBT. In this question, if you observe, they have given us closing balance of PL. Now carefully listen, how is this closing balance derived? This closing balance is nothing but whatever profit we have earned during the year. With that, we add the profit brought forward from previous year. So this is current year PAT. This is brought forward from previous year. Then we minus the amount transferred to reserve. Then we minus the amount paid for dividend. And then we get to know the total amount which we have to transfer it to P&L account in the balance sheet. In this question, you don't have to, if you start with 30, then to reach profit before tax, what all has been deducted in that process, you have to add it back. Like what all was deducted? Dividend, add back. Transfer to reserve, add back. Profit brought forward from previous year is included, is added in this, minus. Because we want profit earned in current year, not profit earned in prior years. So whatever profit we have earned in current year, to get that, we have to minus the profit brought forward from previous year. And if you even add back the tax, because we want profit before tax, then you will get to know the profit before tax. But why will we do that working note? Directly in this question, profit before tax is available. We'll directly start our answer with 710. Whatever questions we did in the class, this figure never used to be available. You know what they used to give us? Closing balance of PL. And then they used to give us all this data. So we used to add back, deduct and do adjustment to reach 710. But in this question, directly 710 is available. So we'll start the cash flow from operating activity with the profit before tax, which is 710. Net profit before tax and EOI, no need to do working note, directly 710 given in the question. Step number 2, adjustment for working capital changes. Adjustment for working capital changes. Sorry, adjustment for non-cash items and non-operating items. Come back to the P&L account. Start from the very beginning. Whatever is non-operating and whatever is non-cash, we have to eliminate. First, interest and dividend is included in this 710. But this 100 rupees is not the cash flow from operating activity. It is the cash flow from investing activity. So to find out the cash flow from operating activity, we have to minus interest and dividend. 100. Next. Then only we have to eliminate the non-operating. Operating, don't remove it. Stock is operating, purchases is operating, wages and salaries is operating, other expenses is operating. So don't eliminate those items. Interest. Interest paid is an expense which comes in P&L account. It decreases the profit, but it is not a operating activity transaction. So we have to eliminate it. So we have to add back. $60. Depreciation is non-cash. So we have to add back. Depreciation we have to add back and the amount is 100. Fine. So now we can get cash generated from operations before working capital changes. Before working capital changes. So 710 minus 100 plus 60 plus 100 comes to 1310. From this, step number 3, we have to do working capital changes. Adjustment for working capital changes. First point, if you come to that table, is debtor. 250, say it became 400. So if it became 250 to 400, our debtor has gone up by 150. Whenever current assets goes up, we write the difference as a negative balance. So increase in debtor. Guys, don't write this up arrow in exam. Write the full form. Increase in debtor. or increase in trade receivable, 150, negative. Next. Then we have, if you see the table, we have inventory. Inventory has increased. So increase in inventory, 20, again negative. Next is creditors. Creditors have also increased by 20. Current liability have a direct relationship. So increase in creditor, positive 20. Next. Then they have told outstanding wages. Outstanding wages has increased. So increase in outstanding wages, the difference will be added. What is the logic of all these things? We studied in the class. Just the pending questions we are discussing right now. Okay, then outstanding expenses. So this is increase in outstanding expenses. Again, because current liability and cash flows direct relationship. If they increase, we add it. If they decrease, we minus it. Then, guys, advanced tax and tax provisions are not operating current assets and current liabilities. They are considered separately. So we don't reconsider it over here. They are considered separately in step 4. So we get cash generated. Cash generated from operations before tax. $1180. If I have done the calculations correctly. As usual, I have made some mistake. This actually will be 770. And then this will be 640. Step number 4. Tax paid, which we have already done it under direct method. Same answer will be there. Working note under direct method. We did a working note under direct method. Same working note will be there for this question, this part also, 195. So we'll get net cash flow from operating activity under indirect method. $445. Same answer we get. What we got under direct method, same answer. All right. Please copy all of you.